Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is, folks. We're at a different place with the sun over Calvin's shoulder with his back to Durkee Street in Plattsburgh. And there's no more Pal Blade out there. There's no more Nash's Bowling Alley. For all the older folks who might be watching the program today, downtown Plattsburgh has changed so much over the last 50 years. I called Dale Gagnon this morning, talked to him on the phone. He said I could look out the window at the farmer's market.
Yes, sir.
It's really a neat place down here. Dale Gagnon, Timmy Gagnon, not quite like the James boys, but not bad for cousins. Nick Moore, how are you?
Good, how are you, sir?
I'm delighted I met Nick for the first time. Maybe we should call ourselves the heavyweights.
The heavyweight.
Does that work?
It's a pretty good sized table.
I'm speaking for myself here. It's a delight to be down here. We all made it through another cabbage night and another Halloween, and we just commiserated about the fact that it ain't what it used to be in the North Country, and probably those are for the better. You remember the day after Halloween, we used to listen to the radio and watch television and read the paper about all the devastation that was caused, and whose haystacks were on fire and whose privies were tipped over. And nowadays, it's kids just had a good time. And so we're here on the day after Halloween, the first day of November, 2011. It seems like things are moving way too fast, huh?
We're getting old.
Yeah. Well, we haven't talked to you people, officially in a long time. Tim and I are very close. Tim made my wonderful website, GordieLittle.com, and thanks to Tim advertising it, we had so many people for ghost stories this year. I couldn't keep up with it all. Dale, he goes to church sometimes at 7:30 in the morning on Sundays.
I'm a 9 o'clock boy.
I didn't see, are you now?
Yeah.
You used to go 7:30 once in a while.
Yeah.
And Nick, you're from Thai.
I grew up in Thai, yeah.
Now you live in
I
Peru.
live in Peru now.
You're getting closer to Plattsburgh. One of these days there'll be a shack out there in the parking lot.
Yes.
So how long have you been hooked up with these guys?
About a year and a half now.
It's a teamwork. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. Of course, we've talked about Woodmen of the world for a long time, and I was trying to remember. Of course, it's probably because of Woodmen that Calvin and I know each other, right, Cal? A long time ago. And a Woodmen representative came to the radio station when I was a very young and much trimmer radio announcer.
It's true, I've seen pictures.
Talking about Woodmen. So I've known about this organization for a long time, but I dare say there are folks watching our program who have no idea what Woodmen of the World is. So who wants to explain this whole thing about this fraternal organization?
I can do that.
I wish you would, Timmer.
Woodman has been around since 1890. We were founded in 1890. Simple dual mission to help American families and to give people opportunity for community service. So we help American families by providing life insurance, annuities, financial services. And then we do a lot in the community through our lodges. There's a lodge in Plattsburgh, Lodge 1016. Lodge 462 in Shazy, that's the lodge that I'm affiliated with. We have a lodge over in Vermont, we have a lodge in Malone, and through those organizations, we do community service and things in the community to put the name out there. Because we don't advertise, you'll see advertisement every now and then, but with a fraternal organization, we don't spend a whole lot of money on advertising because we're concerned about our members' money, and we spend it wisely and conservatively.
It's very interesting because many of our viewers might have seen connected with Woodmen of the World was Calvin bringing flags to people, and you guys bringing flags to people. What's up with the whole flag thing anyway?
We are one of the largest distributors of American flags outside the United States government.
It's amazing.
Any organization, civic organization that needs a flag, nonprofits, churches, libraries, schools, any of these organizations that need a flag, we're willing to provide it.
I've
We're
seen
very
you put
happy to
flag
provide it.
poles up.
We put flag poles up.
Never mind the flag poles.
We just put a flagpole up in Shazy at the town offices.
Did you?
Where did you, I knew 1016 just put one
1016
up.
put up a shrine, Mother Cabrini shrine up in Peru.
Oh, by the way, Calvin, you and I gotta go up there, maybe in the spring, or if the snow holds up. That's getting to be beautiful up there. For
Yes, it
people who are watching this outside the Adirondack region, they may not know about Mother Cabrini Shrine. It's a beautiful spot. They're doing a great deal, I see by pictures on the internet, to improve it up there. The shrine itself is now covered. The little chapel is being used from time to time, and it's one of those nice spots,
Oh, yeah.
like St. Anne's, that's just a nice place to sit there and be there. So you got a flagpole up there?
Got a flagpole up there now. Point of Fair, during the...
Of course.
During the quadricentennial, we did flagpoles at Point of Fair. We did a flagpole at is it Paquette Park, Calvin? Yeah, Paquette Park in Champlain. So we try to, I know in the Shazy Lodge in 462, we try to do 2 a year. 2 flagpoles a year, and in Plattsburgh, 2 flagpoles a year, and just find places that are in need, and yeah, we can get the American flag out there.
I think that's a wonderful connection, It denotes patriotism, love of God and the country, and things that we've all discussed and values that we all believe in. But I don't know how far back that connection with Woodmen and the flag goes. Does anybody know that history and how it began?
Boy,
Ever since I've been around here, I've seen Woodmen flags.
It goes back quite a ways,
Oh,
and I'll tell you that the history, the man who knows the history is behind the camera a little more than I do.
Well, he's carried flags.
And I know that Calvin was instrumental in getting Woodmen involved with the Olympics. When we had the Olympics up in Montreal, and was it Lake Placid as well, Calvin? Yeah.
1980, yeah.
And I think you went as far out as Los Angeles to get involved with that, didn't you?
There were waves of patriotism following the end of the Second World War. And Calvin remembered Timmy or somebody saying it was 1947 when this flag thing began.
Yes.
Connection with the Woodmen.
Now that he mentioned it, I can, I remember the speech from Shazy, and in that they mentioned that 1947 was the year when they started doing that. And of course, after
Not a bad connection
not a bad
to have
connection,
over all those years and how many hundreds of flags. And while we shut the camera off for a minute, Calvin explained to us his connection with the Olympics.
Yes, and what happened there was that in 1980, every medalist received American medalist received an
You didn't give
American
the Russian
flag,
flag?
because the Russians probably didn't want one anyway. But
They wanted the
every American
American
medalist in the 1980 Olympics received an American flag from Woodmen of the World. And in the 1984 Olympics,
The Summer Games, yep.
in Los Angeles, the same thing. Every American medalist.
Well, it's a good thing that Calvin's done, and anybody else who carries that torch, if you will, now that they have webcams on the Statue of Liberty. I don't know if anybody in this room has got a chance to see them. They've been so tied up. I've been trying since they opened them up to get a view. But
No, I haven't seen it yet.
just can't. It's so beautiful because you get to read the plaque and you get to see one right up close to the torch. And I mean, who does the first time I flew over the Statue of Liberty and got it fairly close to it with a commercial airplane, I almost wanted to stand up and salute. So it's so cool. Now, what do we got here? We've seen this before, our viewers. What is it, Tim?
That's the flag of honor. This is something that came out in commemoration of the 10th. Well, actually, this was before the commemoration of the 10th year, but this
Of 9/11.
of 9/11. This particular anniversary, Woodman got a hold of quite a few of these, and we've been making presentations. We did actually, when we did the flagpole in Shazy, We presented the town of Chazy with one of these, and this is the flag of honor. And what it does is it represents everyone who was who lost their lives on 9/11 in the buildings, in the planes, and the first responders who were there as well. And one of the things that we're doing right now is we're contacting the local fire departments, and if a local fire department has not been contacted yet, contact us, and we would love to get together with you and make a presentation to each of the fire departments here in the North Country.
That's a good point, and many times during the program, we'll try to repeat it. How do people get a hold of you if they need information?
Well,
Either one of you.
call Dale's office here. Dale?
What's the number, Dale?
The office number is 561-7213, and my cell is 569-8032. And we now have a list of all the fire departments in the county. So at this month's meeting, we're gonna divide up amongst the field reps and the Chazy Lodge, where these field reps are gonna go and present these flags, so we won't get a mix-up and an overlap. So we hope to hit we have a list of every fire department in the county, and they're all gonna get one.
Now, what's this actual address? Right where we are now?
23 Durkee Street,
23 Durkee Street.
Suite B.
Yeah, it's sweet, all right. I love it. Woodmen is involved in a lot of things throughout the year. You get involved in campaigns that I would never dream there would be a connection, but the definition of Woodmen way back when is as a fraternal organization, and so you like to get involved in things. You all of you do. You're a relative newcomer.
Relative, yeah.
Yeah, but how long? A year? A year and a
About
half?
a year and a half, yeah.
Year and a half?
Yeah.
Did you work before that?
Yeah, I worked for Wyeth Pharmaceuticals before this.
Well, is that an old story, huh? Let me get my violin out. But here you are, a pretty good group here.
Absolutely.
I mean, a happy group, and we didn't eat too much Halloween candy before we recorded
I'm
this
good on
program.
that.
But every now and again, I mean, we're in an age in America where things are, we can only hope that things are going to get better in the future, because we've been through some dire financial straits for the last 3 years that I have never seen in my lifetime, and I have a very long lifetime. So we're hoping things get better, but Woodmen and other organizations, similar organizations, can help people. And you folks do seminars. As a matter of fact, we're recording this on the first day of November 2011, and you do seminars more than one a year, Tim, or?
It really depends on the timing, but I would say more than
The
one year.
timing and
sure.
the need,
Yeah.
and what's going on out there with our people. And tonight we're having one up in Altona at the Rainbow.
At
the Rainbow Tavern.
Peck's Rainbow. Yeah, we've been up there.
And, that's just to give people information to guide them along. Everybody remembers the day of the defined pension and the gold watch. Well, those days are gone. We can count them on our finger. And what we try to do is just go out and show people that if they, properly take care of their investments while they're working, they can, have their own defined pension.
People are so busy trying to make a living that they forget they should be planning for their future. I know that was true in my case when the first Woodman representative came into the radio station years ago. There was no way you could save money raising 13 kids, 15 kids, trying to put money in the bank, plan for the future, and it just seems like something that's far, far away. But especially today, it's important for people to understand a little bit of what's going on. And that's kind of difficult, Tim, isn't it, to explain to people who are in such bad shape that they should be?
It's very hard to explain it, and some of the statistics out there, it's unfortunate when you look at it, because on average most people have somewhere around $55,000-$60,000 to retire with, and that's not enough. It's not going to get them through. So what we try to show people and what we try to teach people is you start early, and you protect things with life insurance. You start early, and you try to put away so that you can build a future. And some of the products that they'll be talking about tonight are involved with building yourself a personal pension, and that's one of the things that they'll be talking about. So there are ways to make things better for yourself, and a lot of people, you get to that second half. I mean, there's two halves when you're saving money. You have that first half when you're putting everything away, and a lot of people do a really good job of putting money away. But then the second half is distribution, and how is it properly distributed, and that's the type of thing that we like to help with.
We've all heard the old story about stuffing it under the mattress.
Mm-hmm.
There are better ways, in spite of what people might think.
There are better ways, and one of the things that we're pretty proud of is we offer safety. Woodmen has taken care of its members since 1890. We've been through the Great Depression. We've been through the Great Wars. 2008, when things really looked pretty scary.
Yeah, they did.
Woodmen's numbers were not anywhere near. I mean, you're talking about 40 and 50% down on some of these balance sheets, and Woodmen was somewhere around 3% down, because we're a little bit more careful with what we do and how we take care of that money. Again, it's our members' money, and we take care of it.
Dale, let's talk about some of the terms that people might not be familiar with, because when you say a lot of people do this, a lot of people do that, Timmer, there are a lot of people that just haven't even considered that because they're young people struggling. But what are some of the vehicles, some of the things you're going to talk about in these seminars that people might not even know about?
Well, the biggest thing Tim hit on is how to distribute that money out. The 401k is a great product to accumulate. The big decision, or the big payoff, is on the distribution of that. And we have various products that we can take and go into that will do that. Some of the other things we're going to be talking about is variable annuities, Roth IRAs, simples and SEPs for the small businessman. That's an area that, not too many up here. We're not next to large cities, so not too many of these small businessmen have the access to, being taken care of the way they should be. So my philosophy has always been, if you take care of that small man, he's going to be with you forever. And, up here, that's what we have. We have a lot of small businesses and a lot of independent people. I mean, you take that Chamber of Commerce book of directory of businesses, and it's just astounding the number of people that are in business today. And every one of these people needs the products that we sell. So another big market that, we sort of overlook is the women market. A lot of women today, your banks, your institutions, your prisons and stuff like that, a lot of the females today are getting the education needed to hold these jobs, and they're sort of stepping ahead of the male right now in education and these better jobs. The problem we have is we have to take care of these women because they live longer than what we do. So we sit and look at what's the third generation. Third generation is the women that are living beyond 80, 82 into the hundreds. How are we going to take and have enough money for them to survive? So we could go for months talking about different products. Some of the highlights we're going to hit on. And,
I think it's important to define some of these things because, as I said before, Tim, a lot of people just don't know what variable annuity is and some of those
Sure.
401ks. So explain some of these things for us.
Well, the chief thing about a variable annuity, and annuities have in the past gotten a bad rap, but things change over the course of time. And really what's exciting about the annuities that we offer through Woodmen Financial Services is it's the income rider. It's the setting up of a guaranteed income and basically setting up a personal pension. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the mechanics and all of the specific products, but you have the opportunity that if you can leave your money for an amount of time, you have the opportunity to set up guaranteed payments and, in some cases, double that amount that you put in, but not in cash, unless the market does really, really, really well, not in cash, but in income. In that income payment, you can take that and you can double it. One of the chief things you have to remember about a variable annuity is it's variable. It's in the market, and there are no guarantees. The biggest
That's the
thing,
understatement of the century
biggest
now.
thing that we will always say when we deal with the market is there are no guarantees on the cash value, but we can guarantee an income payment, and that's what's exciting about the variable annuities.
What are you involved in?
For
the company.
For Woodmen?
All of it. Nick actually just got his license.
I'm licensed on the financial side. I'm licensed on the life insurance side.
Oh, good.
I've actually been spending some time in Connecticut. I've taken Connecticut over.
Hopefully not since the storm.
Haven't been back to
We had
shovel,
a big
no.
snowstorm here a
Haven't-
few days ago.
Haven't been back to shovel, no.
No.
But yeah, we have about 300 members in Fairhaven County in Connecticut
No kidding.
who haven't seen a rep in years.
Oh,
So,
our buddy, the late Andy Spear.
Yeah, that's it. That was his area.
And how well we know Andy was such a dear friend, and his mother and his dad. Yeah, we go back a few thousand years, but what a good guy. So sometimes the good die young, and that was the case of Andrew. So, Connecticut.
Yeah.
So you spent some time down there?
Yeah.
Hartford got hammered with snow, by the way.
Yeah, that's where I was. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I spent a week there early part of October,
did you?
taking care of members out there, and making sure that people are aware of what they have. A lot of times the policies grow, and people aren't aware of the growth. So, I'll give you a short little story.
I like stories.
Yeah, there you go. I met with a World War II vet who bought his policy the day before he left for the service, and he's 91 years old, and he had no idea that $5,000 policy that he bought decades and decades ago had actually grown to about $25,000. And when I met with him and his wife, they were concerned about the cost of his burial, okay, when it happens. And it was nice to go into the house, service them, explain their policy to them, and put their mind at ease that there's plenty of money there to take care of that final expense, because they didn't know how they were going to afford it prior to me showing up. So that's that's what we do.
Yeah, I imagine these seminars are good for answering questions.
Definitely.
Because it's like walking into a doctor's office, you know. It's one thing to diagnose the ailment, it's another thing to have your questions answered as to how the treatment is. And it works on a similar scale with when people are trying to plan for their retirement. But as I said before, a lot of our viewers, I'm sure, are not even familiar with those terms. They're too busy going to the factory, trying to worry about how they're going to get a job once the business they worked at for years is closed up and so on. But that's exactly the time when they should get involved in planning for their future, right, Dale?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think one of the core things that we offer is education about our products.
That's good. That's why we're here
A
today.
lot of people buy things, but they don't really know what they bought. I know personally, I like to take extra time to educate my customers as to what they bought and how it works, so they know exactly what they've got as they go forward. Like I said, a lot of people that I've talked to that have life insurance in some form don't really know what they have or how it works.
Well, they bought it so many years ago, they just put the policy in a drawer and forget
I
about
forgot
it.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I like looking at the policies where you open up the binder and everything's still stuck together from 40 years ago.
You gotta take your finger and slowly slide it through there.
The mice have been in there, and I had a lot of. This is a complete aside, but that's the story of my life. I had all my important papers in a huge safe. This baby was this big and this tall, and it weighed about 500 pounds. And you see Dumb and Dumber on those things on TV. I didn't use my fireplace anymore, so I put my important papers in there, stuck them in the fireplace, and closed it. I figured anybody breaks into my house, don't worry, folks, it's not there anymore. But I put it in the fireplace. So I had some things I wanted to check over, so I took the box out and opened it up. The top on it is like that thick. You need both hands to open it. Of course, water had come down the chimney and got in there, so you don't even want to know the rest of that story. So anyway, yes, explaining things to people is very, very important, because you don't know what you got. People buy a new automobile and they barely know how to get it started, let alone change the oil or anything else. So know your product, right?
Exactly. And you know, I was thinking about when Nick was talking, another thing that people don't know about, and it's been around for a while, but the Roth IRA is such a tool for people who are putting money away for retirement. It is, you know, you pay the tax on the money now. It's after tax dollars. You put that away, and you never pay tax on it again, and you never pay tax on the gain. That's a gift from the government, and while it's there, people should be taking advantage of the Roth IRA. You can put up to $5,000 a year, and if you're over 50, $6,000 a year, as long as you're working. And this is money that, again, you pay tax on it now, never pay tax on it again. So these are things that are out there that people they have no idea. If you ask somebody, I would dare say that if we ask somebody if they know what a Roth IRA is, at least 70% of them will say no, I've never heard of it.
Or more.
Or more.
And when I was out actually in the field selling, not in the management position, I mean, I tried in every house to go in and open a Roth IRA for the simple reason that, you know, that 5-year wait period, you know, if they got it open today and they can't fund it on a regular basis, that countdown on the 5-year wait period is gone by, and then when they're ready to put money in, it's still there. We have Ross out there today, you know, that've been around, what, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and their waiting period's all over with. And one of the things I've been doing is calling my client management back and saying, you have one of these products that's paying a substantial amount of interest today, and we need to put money in it. And, you know, one thing Woodmen's doing right now, we started last year and we're getting into a hot and heavy, is going back and visiting our members. Because we have members that haven't been seen for years. And we go back and, you know, go in and educate them again on the products they have and the new products that are out there. And, you know, it's getting to be a big program for us, because, you know, like the credit card companies and the bank companies, they take and you have platinum, gold, and silver.
Yeah.
You know.
And everything in between.
And everything in between. The trick to the trade is to get the guy that's in the A, B, or C. If he's in the B, we want him to go to A. And how do we do that? By educating them. You see, everybody will buy. We go in and we try to solve problems. I tell all my field reps, you have to take the word salesman or sales lady right out of your vocabulary. You go in there and you ask them, what is it that you want? How can we help you get it? And when do you want to start doing it? Who, what, when, where? And then once you find out what that person wants and you can guide them to it, they will take and make those steps along the way with you. So, you know, this office and the Woodmen in New York, New England, we are doing a big thing to bring that client management to life. You know, the days of selling a certificate and walking away have to be over with. We have to educate today.
I mean, these are our members, and we need to take care of them, and we need to take care of them properly.
You know, as if people didn't know, this is a gross understatement, but it's a different world now than it was even 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. The reason for this program is to let people know that there are options for their future. They better get a hold of their financial advisors and find out what these options are. Roth IRA, a term that many of our viewers may not be familiar with, and I could just see people watching the program saying, "Did you hear what he said? Did you hear that? Can that be true?" And I notice more and more people today watching some of these financial planners who have shows on television than ever before. they'll bypass the situation comedy to watch this guy for a few minutes because he's making sense. This guy or this gal, because there are gals and guys who are in the business. But we're in the process of educating people. You've all used that term about 3 times so far today. But if people don't know what's available, how are they going to secure their future?
Exactly.
And there's, as the old saying is, there's no time like the present. What else besides the Roth IRA now should we talk about?
Well, it's always life insurance.
The greatest product out there is life insurance.
Well,
There's always life insurance.
that's what got me involved all those years ago. So explain that a little bit to us. Well, how people should first get involved with getting life insurance. Who
Anybody
wants to
else
talk
want
about
to?
it? Go ahead.
All right.
Your turn. Then.
I can. I
we-
figured I'd
we,
let you
we-
talk.
you know, we buy life insurance for a few reasons, but the main reason is to transfer that risk of premature death from the customers to all of the members. Okay, for that premium that you give us every month, when your time of need comes, we're going to cut the check and take care of that financial burden that's incurred by premature death. Okay? Now, we can't replace anybody. We're not in the business of replacing anybody. We can replace that financial loss. We can take care of the mortgages. We can take care of student loans, kids' education, things like that you would want to have taken care of if maybe you weren't here. Okay? Generally we have, you have big debts, mortgages. Generally the biggest debt anybody's going to incur is their mortgage. We have products to cover that. Okay? Protect that mortgage. If something happens to you, your family can stay in your home and be safe and sound, not struggle. Okay? On the other end of it, we have permanent products that are they're permanent, they're with you to the end. Okay? What else you guys want to throw in?
How many times do we hear stories about somebody who passed away suddenly and didn't have life insurance?
That's a good point. I've never heard anybody say after they've collected a death benefit from somebody passing that life insurance was a bad investment. Hindsight's 20/20, right?
Yeah.
That's true. And I had a field rep. Now I am over in Vermont now. I've opened an office in St. Albans, and I have a team, and we're growing in Vermont. And we'll talk about. I'd like to talk about that a little bit later on about how Woodmen is growing and what we're doing and who we're looking for, because that's important too. But just had a situation where a field rep had talked to some people probably about 3 or 4 months ago, and sat down with them and said, here's what we have to offer. And the husband was hesitant. The wife really wanted it. The husband was hesitant. And give us a call in a couple of months. He called. He made that phone call last week, I think, and she answered. And hey, I want to see if you and your husband are ready to talk about. He had died.
In the interim.
Within that 3 months, he had died. And there wasn't, of course, enough money to take care of. But that's that's where, when we do our work, that's what we're trying to do, is make sure that families are protected. They need it more than we need to sell it. And if we could just educate everybody out there that life insurance is not this expense that you don't need. I mean, we buy health insurance because we think we might get sick. We buy car insurance because we think that our car is going to get in an accident, somebody might hit us. We buy home insurance because, there might be a fire and something might happen to our home. Well, we know we're going to die. We just don't know when. And
Tick, tick,
it's
tick,
the
tick.
one important
Nobody knows
thing.
how many ticks there are,
and it's
do we?
the one insurance that people, you're not mandated to buy it, but you really, it's the one you need, because why would you want to leave your family in debt? And that's the worst kind of situation to be in. And if you've lost everything, if you've lost that person you love, and then to lose your home, your way of life, that's what we're there to try to protect. That's the real mission behind Woodmen of the World. It's always been the real mission behind Woodmen of the World is life insurance and protection of the family, and then we can take care of retirement, we can take care of all those things, but boy, the first and most important thing, and when we go in on a presentation, the first and the most important thing that we want to talk about is life insurance, because that's the thing that's going to keep a family together when something happens. That's the thing that's going to keep a family solvent when things happen, and that's why we're here.
We don't want to frighten people to death.
No,
but the fact
absolutely
is,
not,
death and taxes, the old phrase
They're
about
there.
death and
They come.
taxes, it's inevitable. And as we all hear that clock ticking in our heads, so we don't know if we have another 50 years or another 3 days. It is a wild and crazy world we live in. Some days you hate to turn on the tube or open a newspaper because some terrible disaster has occurred, whether it's weather related or war related or whatever. So making plans for the future is essential for all of us, and I think most of us who are watching this program have relaxed too much. So if we can frighten people just a little bit to say, you better, look at those little kids that you got crawling around on the floor right now, and make provisions for the future. And if we can get people thinking a little bit, to call Woodman or call their financial advisor, call their insurance agent, because I'll bet you were absolutely right when you said people have that policy in there and they haven't opened it up in 30 years. Mm-hmm. They have no idea what the provisions are. It's like people with homeowners who don't know whether they're covered for Hurricane Irene.
That's right.
Yeah. How much wailing and gnashing of teeth have we heard from across this North Country region over the last few months since last April?
And a life insurance policy is like anything. I mean, it needs to be looked at, it needs to be checked, it needs maintenance, and you need to know that everything is the right way, because things happen.
But you said before something that struck me. Sometimes you've got to upgrade your product.
You have to, because, we try to get back, the mode we're trying to get in is that we take and see these people every year. And, this is a big challenge that we're going through, because we gotta first of all have the personnel to do it. But, more important, as people grow, as they start out as a young family, and as they acquire their assets and then they acquire their income, at different stages of life, the most important thing is that death. What's going to happen at death? How are you going to take care of that family, whether you're a young man or an old man or an old woman or a young woman? How are we going to take and transfer that out? Is there enough money for that family to stay in that home? My family, my father died when he was 33. There wasn't 1 ounce of life insurance. So I have a great passion for this job, because I know what it can do. And then I know what it can do if you don't have it. And, I can't get that word out enough, that, you need to have life insurance. I sat in an office yesterday, and I told some businessmen that we are the only people at the time of death that bring money to you. We are the only people. And if that product is set up right, and if that product is funded right, we are the only people that can give you money in a time of need. The other products out there just don't do that. So, we not only take care of you now, we take care of you in the future, and we want to be there at the end. We've been doing it now since 1890, and
You haven't been doing it quite that long.
No.
But I know you've been.
Almost.
But the thing of it is, we've been doing the same thing since 1890, sitting across the table, selling life insurance and annuity products, because that is the core of our operation. That's what we were built on. Eyeball to eyeball, belly button to belly button, telling the truth. And we all know we're gonna die. If I could only get that crystal ball to work, I would.
Never works very good for most of us.
And I'll give you an example about that changing, that life insurance target that's always changing. It always changes, and people that haven't seen rent in 15 or 20 or 25 or 30 years, their insurance need guaranteed has changed since they bought that policy
Yeah,
30
that's
years ago.
important.
And it may have gone down.
Yeah.
It may-
That
your
insurance need
need
may actually have gone down. It may have gone up, but it may have gone
No,
down as well.
you know, I'm the youngest of the group. So, I have a 2-year-old at home. We have another one on the way a couple weeks from now. We're gonna have a new baby.
Good for you.
Okay, thank you. Now, our insurance need is gonna change, obviously. We've got another soul to provide for. That baby's gonna need his own policy, or her own policy, whatever it may be. The cool thing about the kids' policies is it locks in their medical as a baby, okay? Now, when they get later on in life, we throw a rider on there that guarantees them the option to buy more insurance, regardless of health, because their health is locked in when they're a baby, okay? I think that's so important because there's so many things that can happen.
Considerations. Yeah. We're gonna pause for just a moment and get back to this very important discussion. While we pause for a moment, just to take a deep breath and to meet Nick's wife, 5 weeks,
5 weeks.
we're gonna keep track of you now, you know. Make sure you're properly insured for your future.
That's okay. That's what I do. So.
Because I bet you are. Timmer, we got a lot to talk about. First of all, I don't want to give the impression that we're spending an hour here strictly promoting the products of Woodmen of the world. It just happens we're with some Woodmen people
Yeah, and
who are good friends of ours.
When Dale says we're the only people that bring, that check when, he's talking about the life insurance
Life
industry.
insurance.
Yeah. So the people who are watching this program, what we want to do is, yes, we want you to have a little concern about what tomorrow is going to bring you, to the point where you get off your duff and make a call to your favorite insurance person, somebody that you trust who can explain a little bit more about some of these things we've been mentioning here today and plan for your future, because that's the only way our country and our families are going to survive.
And there's lots of good folks out there, and we would love to help you too. So, that's how that.
You know,
that works out.
before we go much farther, I just want to mention a couple of things. First of all, the Woodman magazine, you got a picture of it right
do,
there. We
right
want to
there.
see it.
That's
It's
what it
very,
looks like.
I don't know how much
Woodman
glare you
living.
got on it. Hold it.
Right there.
Yeah,
Right there?
right there.
There you
Oh,
go.
Calvin, hold it steady. He's got it. He's got it locked in there. Isn't this digital age
It's
wonderful?
amazing. You can carry this stuff around, and
the
I
mag-
could talk about the iPad forever.
But the magazine comes into my house every time it's printed, and for a long time, I would complain that, wait a minute, there's nothing here from Shazy. I'm hearing about Augusta, Georgia, and South Carolina, but now we've been getting a few in the magazine.
I try to take care of that.
It's great.
I don't like to see one of these come in a quarter and not have something from at least one of the lodges that are around in New York.
Tim is
and
the
New
photography
England.
maniac. If he goes somewhere, he's like Gordy Little, only way worse. I would take 500 pictures, he would take 1,500 pictures.
That's a good digital card.
But isn't it
You
wonderful
just
to be
take 'em
able
and
to
take
do
'em
that
and take 'em. I was
today?
at the Sagamore this past weekend.
I know,
And
anybody who follows Tim knows that he was at the Sagamore. We've seen the pictures.
when you have the opportunity to take such beautiful landscape pictures, and then we turned around, we were down on the dock, and we turned around, and an osprey was flying overhead, and that upset, of course, the seagulls. But then I turned around, and between here and you and I, there's a seagull sitting on a post just looking at us. And he just sat there. I got to take all sorts of pictures. I love
Hey, you dumb
love
bird,
that
just sit
stuff.
there a minute. I want
You just sit there. I'm going to take some cool pictures,
Yeah,
and
well,
everything's good.
we live in a fabulous part of
Yeah.
the country, and that's all the more reason to preserve things for our families so that we can enjoy this Adirondack region for a long, long time to come.
Definitely.
The magazine, it's an interesting magazine because all insurance companies don't have a magazine.
No.
There are some fraternal organizations that do, but fraternity is an important part of what you guys do on a regular basis, isn't it?
Definitely. We're all very involved with our lodges. I'm involved with 2 lodges. I'm involved with my home lodge, which is 462 in Shazy, and now I'm also involved with the lodge over in Vermont. So we do a lot of a lot of things that we try to do jointly, and we do a lot of things, on our own. So we've done the flag presentations. One of our premier events over the past couple of years has been Hands and Paws, and that was amazing. And at some point I'd love to repeat it, but it was a lot of work.
Well, explain to people what that was. I really
Well,
had such a good time that day.
We had over 120 people, and we had gotten advertising through WOKO and a few other outlets. And what we did was we chose the three humane societies within our region, and that is Elmore SPCA, Adirondack here in Plattsburgh, and the Malone Shelter. And we built dog houses. Woodmen has a national program called Animal House, and we
Isn't that
took the
great?
plans.
I love it.
We took the plans and we modified them for the larger North Country dog, and
Wow, that's great.
and so we had some pretty good sized dog
You
houses,
did.
and
Big
we
enough
built.
for when the wife says, see you Tuesday.
Well,
Yeah,
somebody could get in there.
Yeah.
We built 15 dog houses on that day.
That was great.
And 5 each to each of the shelters, and the response from the shelters was amazing. They couldn't believe that somebody was doing that for them. Those are all in use, and animals are being kept warm because we took the time to put that together and make that happen. And so many local organizations helped out, and so it was a real coming together of, and it was on Joint Hands Day, so we called it Hands and Paws.
That's great.
And so it was organizations like Kiwanis and the Boy Scouts and other lodges, and we all got together. Some local businesses pitched in, and we really were able to do something great. For
I used to do all these family events.
community.
I had the pleasure of telling ghost stories at one of
Exactly.
your recent Halloween events. We're doing this on the day after Halloween,
Yeah.
right?
And you actually were at Hands and Paws doing
And
animal
and
ghost
that
stories,
too.
so that was
But
great.
those
So
are
it was
fun. The family things are fun for me, and it's fun for the organization too, right?
Exactly. It's a great fun thing, and Nick can tell you about the Plattsburgh. Every year they have their Christmas party.
Yep.
Yeah, tell me.
Every year we have a huge Christmas party in Keysville. How many did we have there last year, Dale?
174.
174
Wow,
last
Ducky,
year.
that is good size.
And we just had our planning meeting for this year coming up. They put me in charge. Well, they put me in charge of this year. We're going to do a kids fishing tournament. We're going to do a family night over at the Vermont Lake Monsters baseball field, and we're looking into doing a family skiing sliding day at Beartown. And we also have 7 movies planned next year. We have our movies up at Cumberland, the new Cumberland Cinemas. All our members come for free.
Wow.
We have a couple bowling days planned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what else do we have planned, Dale?
This fraternity thing
We're
really
looking,
is important.
yeah,
isn't
we're
it?
looking
Oh,
into
it's very
planning.
important, yeah.
We're looking into planning a senior ball for our senior members.
Around February, March. Another thing we just did is the corporation just purchased 2 cookers that you pull behind a truck.
Oh,
And-
come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next it'll be a pig roast.
One for the south. one
It's
for-
coming.
Oh,
The pig roast is coming.
I
I'm telling you,
should've
it is
known.
definitely coming. And
One for the south, one for the north, and, we want to be able to go to these, like when they have these fundraisers for people with cancer, fundraisers
Yeah.
for the,
and offer our services.
for schools and stuff like that, and we'll go there and cook a couple hundred hot dogs and hamburgers and donate that money to that organization, or do, hazard chickens and stuff like that.
The other side of that is, had we had those cookers when Irene came by,
Oh, boy.
we could have been down there
Oh,
helping out.
boy.
So these are the types of things that we're trying to gear ourselves and put ourselves in the position to be able to do, is do fundraisers, but also if something happens and there's a need,
We'll be there.
we've got something that we can be there, and that's some of the
Those are
things that
good
we
functions, good functions about this entire organization, and once again, we're sitting in the offices of Woodmen of the World on Durkee Street in Plattsburgh, but we're talking about planning for the future. We're talking about families, we're talking about American flags, we're talking about lots of things that should have great meaning for everybody who watches this program. We want to instill in people before we leave today the fact that they should start planning right now. Talk to your partner next to you and say, how come we didn't think of that? These guys have opened their eyes a little bit. Let's call our guy today or our gal today that we get our insurance from and start planning for the future. And if we've done that, and we can get 10 people to do that just by virtue of this program, we've had a good day, wouldn't you say?
Exactly.
Now, yeah, go ahead, Nick.
I think and the way I like to go about it is, and again, this is not just Woodman's philosophy, this is any insurance company or organization. We're in the business of selling peace of mind, okay? And I'll go back to myself. I know that if something happens to me, my family will be okay. Okay, we don't have to, my wife and babies won't have to move, we won't lose our house, everything will be okay. And that's a great feeling to have, that when you put your head down on a pillow at night, knowing that everything will be okay if you're not there. And I'm not trying to scare anybody, but
Oh, these are realities.
that's the name of the game for us. We don't just go in and sell you something. We go in and look at what you have, your assets versus your obligations, and make sure that that insurance target is hit. Anybody in the insurance industry is doing a great injustice to their customers if they're not taking that into account, not taking that individual's or that individual family's insurance need in hitting that target.
Well, look at this flag and think about all these tragedies. Not just one tragedy, not just two towers, not just several locations that were attacked on that day, but every single person that was killed has family and friends. And how many interviews have we seen since then? After 10 years, and with the wars that we've been involved in, I've seen a lot of interviews and heard a lot of interviews on public radio lately with young women with families, like Nick's got families. They talk to their husband, and the next day there's two Navy guys or two Marines knocking on their door. It's just that we don't know.
We don't know.
There's a lot of unknowns out there. The things that we do have control in, let's grab them and run with them. I think that's a good point. Something else I want to talk with you about, Tim, is how does a company like this expand? How does it, there are people who watch this program and didn't even know Woodmen of the World was here in the North Country because they've been living under a rock. I know that's your hue and cry, is how do we let people know that we're around? But, they've heard about it because they're from Mississippi or somewhere, and they knew there were some really strong chapters down there.
Sure.
But how do you recruit people? How do you expand your base up here?
Well, there's lots of different ways, Dale will tell you that it's getting out there and talking to people and telling them what we do. And I'll tell you, sometimes that when we're in a house for life insurance, you might end up finding yourself a field rep right there.
That's interesting,
That's
too.
that's happened to you more than once.
As you guys are talking, I think we're in a political season here. We're coming up on a big national election in 2012. And in my little hometown of Morrisonville, and I'm sure in your little hometown up there in Champlain, Rouse's Point, even in Vermont, at this time of year, you got your neighbors knocking on the door saying, Gordy, we got election day coming up in early November. They're still doing that.
Oh,
Still
yes.
beating the path, wearing out the shoe leather, and that's pretty much what a lot of you.
I have some fellows over in Vermont. That's what they're doing right now. Is they're going out and they're finding people to talk to by going door to door.
Isn't that
And,
amazing?
You'd
in this
think
day
that
and
the
age,
era
in this
of door to
electronic
door
day and
is
age,
gone, but it's not. It hasn't gone away, and it actually is bringing results. So it's some people. Sometimes you have to get back to that personal contact. You really do have to get back to that personal contact. But at the same time, the internet's out there, And that's been helping us in our recruiting efforts. I know that I've hired several people through the through job boards and things of that nature. And really it comes down to we are always looking for good people who want to earn a good living and can motivate themselves. I mean, we're there to motivate, we're there to help. We are always, right by our people's sides when they get started, and even through, we have people that through, if they run into a case and they can't handle it, that's what we're here for. But we are expanding throughout New York State. Not long ago, we actually, within the last couple of years, we actually brought agents back to Long Island, and that was from a distance, that's a difficult thing to do, but we had a lodge down there, and they wanted a rep and they wanted to grow, and that's really what it took there. We have we have 2 reps now, and we're looking at a third down in Long Island, and that's territory that we haven't been in a long time. So we're looking for people actually throughout New York and New England. I'm in Vermont. I just brought on 3 new people in Vermont. I have a team of 6 over there. And those people in Long Island I'm taking care of too, because I was instrumental in part of the organization, the group that got it started down there. And I've been taking care of them, but it's tough to take care of them from a distance. And so we're always looking for people that want to move into management, that want to. I look at this organization. It's been around since 1890, but the Northeast, we are on the ground floor. We have an opportunity to build managers, build territory, and expand to, we need people in Connecticut. I mean, it's a long trip for him to go to Connecticut to take care of our members. We do it because we need to take care of our members. But boy, if we did it and we could find 2 or 3 great reps in that Connecticut area and get them started, that would be fantastic. Massachusetts, we have nobody there right now, and we need to expand there.
It's amazing. We said at the outset of this program, this organization has been around for a long, long time, and that can be good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit on your laurels,
Right.
Especially in this volatile age we live in. You have to evolve.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find new routes. You got to build new campfires. You got to move to a new place, and this is a true in general. And sometimes the older companies have trouble competing with the newer companies because they got the young people and they got the energy. And
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about Woodmen lodges. There are other fraternal organizations, but Woodmen lodges, some of them have been around since the very
Oh, yes. Yeah.
beginning, and there is recidivism. People grow old and die. That's what we've been talking about since we sat down here today. And so getting new blood, and so it's a never-ending job for all 3 of you people, right?
It is.
Get new recruits, get
Every
new
day.
people.
Every day, we talk to people every day. And, our greatest, the best area for us to recruit from is right through our own membership. And, this office here, we're gonna take and do probably the 3rd week in November. Gary Liberty's setting it up with me, and we're gonna have a recruiting night where we're gonna actually, do a seminar just to get new recruits. And, because it's a field that you can go and, you can name your own ticket. You can work as hard as you want and make as much as you want. I tell everybody I sit in front of and recruit, we pay you in proportion to what you do. So we're not like, the factory or the office job where you get paid X amount of dollars a week. We have a training program, we have a bonus program, and if you work this program, you can make really good money. So, I think it's a great career, and you're in contact with people every day, and that's the greatest thing about it.
Before we wrap up our little discussion here today, first of all, it's always a pleasure for me because every time I talk to you guys and many of my other friends, I'm educated. And we hope that's what we've done for some of our viewers here today. There are certain key things that I want people to leave this program with, and that is it's time to prepare now.
Yes.
There was an old song called "Mañana is Good Enough for Me." None of you here are old enough to remember about the window she was broken and the rain was coming in. Mañana's not good enough.
No.
You have to start planning today.
And-
So let's leave our viewers with some key thoughts today, Timmy, about what they have to start doing right now in terms of their future.
The chief thing is you buy life insurance based on your age and your health. And while your age is young and your health is good, you're going to get life insurance at a great rate. As you get older, it goes up because, well, you're closer to death. As your health deteriorates, it goes up because that risk factor goes up. So young and young families, too many people want life insurance when it's too late.
Yeah.
When it's so
That's
much
why
harder
today's the day.
to do. The other key thing that I did want to mention one other fraternal thing, if I could sneak into it. And this is something that we're pretty excited about, and it will have happened by the time this aired, more than likely. But this is a murder mystery dinner theater that
Those are fun, aren't they?
Oh,
I
yeah.
love 'em.
We're putting it on over at PEX, and it's to benefit Hannah's Hope, and it's a huge endeavor. They are getting close to clinical trials, and as we all know, insurance companies do not pay for clinical trials, so they need the money to be able to get clinical trials for this child and see if they can do something to help. Great organization. They've been fantastic to work with, and now these kids here that you see on this poster, they're from New York City. They are Co-op Theater East, and a little bit of pride involved. This guy right there, it's my nephew.
Oh,
And
really?
He is one of the founders of Co-op Theater East, and they do socially conscious theater in New York City. So he's a graduate
It happens in the
of
big cities too, now.
he's a graduate of NCCS, and he's a lifetime Woodmen member.
You know, we've
Because
produced
his mother
a pretty-
sold when she was
We've produced
she
some
was
pretty
younger.
famous people, including the people in this room. But a lot of people from our schools and so on have gone on to bigger and better things. And I got to tell you that this kind of thing is near and dear to my heart personally. Viewers who know that I've been involved in media here for over 50 years, and that it pleased me on a daily basis to help somebody in trouble, to attach myself to an organization who was willing to go out and beat the bushes to raise money for people. It happens that I've lived here long enough, and you guys have for a long time too, to know these people personally.
Yeah.
And to know what you're raising the money for, why it is important to find something to help this family with Hannah, and with so many other stories that we've known about over the decades. So it's a feel-good thing besides everything else, right, Tim?
It is. It's fantastic, and we were looking. These folks came and did a show at our last jurisdictional convention, and we were just looking for a way to get them up here and find a way to help somebody by doing it.
That's cool.
And so it all kind of tied in together, and that's coming up on the 16th of November, and we're actually doing another show over in Vermont to benefit the Enosburg Opera House. So while they're
isn't
here,
that cool?
we're going to get some use and help out.
Every
help out
town's
both
got
sides.
something going
Every
on.
town's got something
You can
going
work
on.
with.
Every area's got some important charities, and there's so many other important charities. And we would love to be able to help everybody. We spread out a lot. I mean, we've helped Relay for Life. We've helped with many different charities throughout the North Country, and we look forward to continuing to do that throughout the time that we're all here, and we expect to be here a good long time.
It's very important to point these things out, because for those people who may watch this program on the internet in the four corners of the world, we live in a part of northeastern New York State, and I mean northeastern New York State, not upstate when the storm hit in the
real upstate.
in the Hudson Valley.
We live in the real
But we're
upstate.
very proud of this area.
We are.
And in a crazy world, in And as we approach the end of 2011, where it's every man and woman for himself and herself, we have to realize that we are a brotherhood, we are a fraternity. It behooves us not only to provide for our own families, but to help our neighbors when they're in trouble too. And in these small communities, Calvin and I see it happening every day. He's had that camera on his shoulder low all these years, trying to point these things out to other people in the world. And now that we have the internet via Plattsburgh.com and HometownCableNetwork.com and other ways, including all the cable systems to promote this North Country, we can get our soapbox a little bit higher and talk about people like your organization and other groups of people, and there are many churches. There are sports groups, there are theater groups, there are people trying to save the Strand Theater, people who are trying to raise some money for, it takes me back, as I said, 50 years when I was trying to find goat's milk for a little baby who couldn't survive on anything else. Guess what? We found goat's milk that took that baby into adulthood. Hard to believe that baby's about almost 50 years old now. I wonder if she still drinks goat's milk. But anyway, those are good, important things to remember. Plan for your future, right?
Plan for your future, protect your future,
Take care of your family,
take care of your family.
growing family.
Absolutely.
Good luck with that new baby.
Thank you very
my
much.
friend.
Thank you.
Nick Moore, it was great to meet you. I wish you luck not only with this organization, but with all you try to do. You guys have good principles. Timmy, you've been a good friend. I hope viewers may know that Tim was actually on the radio with me.
Yeah.
How many years ago?
It was back in 1990, wasn't
That's
it?
impossible.
So
That's impossible.
I don't even like to think about
We
how
don't
long ago that
we
was.
didn't normally hire people who were 7 years old, but
That was the last century.
That was 20 years ago.
yeah,
My
yeah,
God.
the last century is hard to believe. But anyway, it's been a good life so far. You
Definitely.
people are all good friends. My new good friend. And Dale, you got to hold down the fort up on your end of the world out there in Morrisonville, you know.
Sure.
Thank you all for being with us today. Is there any other parting words that you might like to have people?
Could we have Dale give you the phone number here again?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Phone number here is 561-7213.
You will explain people, no matter what kind of insurance they're interested in, no matter what company they're interested in, you'll give them honest information as you see it from where
Yes,
you
sir.
sit here. That's the way we do, because it's a brotherhood and a sisterhood.
Definitely, and I'm always available. I can be reached in my office, 802-922-9731. I live here, I sell here when I'm here. Most of the time I'm over on the other side of the lake, but I'm definitely happy to help out. And Dale and I work together on some things. And if I could, I'd love to leave you with just a little piece of paper that Dale.
I
put in
know,
front of me.
I could read it
and it's-
upside down, go ahead.
It's a good little note, and
Okay.
it's basically what we've been talking about, and that is, what is a life insurance certificate? A life insurance certificate is just a time-yellowed piece of paper with columns of figures and legal phrases until it is baptized with a person's tears. Then it becomes a modern miracle, Aladdin's lamp. It is food, clothing, shelter, and undying affection. It is the sincerest love letter ever written. It quiets the crying of a hungry baby in the middle of the night. It eases the aching heart of the ones who are left behind, a comforting whisper in the dark and silent hours. It's a new hope, fresh courage, and the strength to pick up the thread and carry on. It's the college education for children, a chance for a career instead of a need for a job. It is a blessing to daughter on her wedding day. It is the parents' uninterrupted dream and plan for the family's future. Through life insurance, they live on. It is the premium we pay for the greatest of all privileges, the privileges of living after death. And I don't know who wrote it, but
It says
it's a
anonymous on the
wonderful
bottom,
thing.
but we could celebrate him, huh? We're going to wrap up our program from Durkee Street in Plattsburgh right after this. Well, in 5 weeks' time, if you're near whatever hospital, and you hear somebody scream, "It's a girl, it's a boy," send your congratulations to Nick. And then what's your wife's first name?
Anita.
Anita. We have to embarrass her a little bit now.
Absolutely.
Of course, and your wonderful family. Thank you all for being with us here today, for inviting us into your office, Dale, down here on Durkee Street. Again, a strong reminder to our viewers, we're just throwing out the bone here. You pick it up and call your insurance agent, call your financial advisor, say, what are those guys talking about? What's this variable annuity stuff? What is this Roth IRA? What should I know that I don't know? And get yourself educated, because your future depends on it. Remember what I said before? Tick-tock, tick-tock. Nobody knows how many ticks there are. So get started today and secure your future, because we don't know how many tomorrows we have. And I'm smiling when I say that, because none of us know. I mean, that's what it's all about. I want to thank our viewers for all your suggestions and your comments, even under your breath. I also want to thank you especially for those people who write those generous checks and send them to Calvin Castine, care of Hometown Cable on the Ridge Road in Champlain, because without those small and generous contributions, this program can't and won't continue. It's amazing to me that that he's still got that camera going after all of these years. And you know how I like to end the program. Who knows where we're going to be next time for our